got the rain sounds, and I've got the story. And we are on chapter 4. I'll add that there. Alright, it's reading time. Chapter 4. Smells like rotten blood. Rusty nail, rusty heart. The state is destroyed by wildfire, but the mountains and rivers are as always. Spring comes to the city, and the grasses and trees bloom trickily. Reading aloud from an open textbook in her left hand, and tapping the iron pipe held in her right hand on her shoulder, Kurumiya paced slowly around the room. As usual, the classroom was enveloped in a... I'll just bring my mic closer to me. Just move. Like that. Okay, there was a loud motorcycle outside. Let me close my door or your window. Supporting the kind you. Thank you. I appreciate it. They slowly around the room. As usual, the classroom was enveloped in a tense atmosphere. But recently, even that tension had begun to slacken. Since class at Purgatorium Remedial Academy had begun 5 days ago, the students had begun to adapt to their strange new circumstances. Even Kyosuke, who was not a hardened killer, exception. The flowers weep for these sad times, lamenting separation. The birds are stricken to the heart. Kurumiya's pass beside him sent a chill down Kyosuke's side. But even that was momentary. It may have been because, as a teacher, Kurumiya could not spend all her time on discipline. Aside from the fact that several times a day, a student, usually Mohawk, would provoke Kurumiya's wrath and receive a brutal punishment, class was conducted remarkably peacefully. The omnipresent graffiti scrawl, the glaring eyes of his classmates, Kurumiya's insane temperament, the bullying, the harassment, the various other deplorable injustices. If it hadn't been for all of that, it would have been pretty much the same scene as the middle school Kyosuke had attended. He couldn't say he didn't understand Aries' drowsy relaxation. At Purgatorium Remedial, each teacher taught every subject to a single class. It was an unusual system, but Kuruyama was a surprisingly good educator, insane sadism notwithstanding. Under her guidance, the main points of a text were easy to grasp and to retain. and Kyosuke had no trouble recalling any of her lessons. Even with her characteristically childish voice, was sweet and easy to listen to. She has like a, alright, she has like a more high-pitched voice, doesn't she? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Even her characteristically childish voice was sweet and easy to listen to. The beacon fires have continued burning for 3 months. A letter from home would be worth 10,000 pieces of gold. Listening to Fu Du's poem Springview, being read so delicately, Kyosuke could feel the time slip away. In this way, daily life at the institution was less troublesome than he had expected. However, only 10 more minutes, and then it's after school. There was one thing that was causing Kyosuke some serious distress: the fistfuls of stationery stuffing his pockets. That morning, he had found a stack of letters addressed to Kyosuke, waiting in his shoe cupboard. Written in girly bubble letters and with hearts drawn on them, these letters were the source of all evil, threatening Kyosuke's tranquil, fragile tranquility. My white hair becomes shorter from scratching, too thin to hold even a hairpin. Feeling like Kuriyama's lisping voice was far, far away, Yosuke clenched his fist. There were just a few minutes left until the final deafening day rung out. He could not afford to mess it up this time. Oh, I probably... the fact that you killed 12 people makes you very... School was out, behind a deserted gymnasium. Kyosuke found himself face to face with a female student. Her snow-white skin contrasted beautifully with her glamorous black. This second-year girl, his senior, had both hands clasped behind her back and was rocking back and forth bashfully. He gazed at Kyosuke with upturned eyes, bordered by long eyelashes, and took a deep breath as if to steady her resolve. Her face was as red as an apple. I really like you, so please go out with me. Her words burst with sudden feelings. She thrust out a survival knife that she had been keeping hidden behind her back. Her aim was for Kyosuke's throat. Sorry. Knife. Narrowly evading the surprise attack, he sunk a fist into the pit of her stomach with an oof and a puff of hot breath, and a blissful expression faded across her face. The upperclassman crumpled over. Catching her collapsing body before she could fall, Kyosuke wiped away the cold sweat begun to collect on his forehead. That was really dangerous just now. I was careless because she was an upperclassman. I thought the second years were supposed to be more rehabilitated. So, why did she have a knife? Huh? Did you turn down another one? Oh, I see. Huh? Did you turn down another one? This one is a real beauty, though. As Kyosuke laid the unconscious upperclassman down, wrinkles slipped out of the shadows of the gymnasium. A moment later, Eri and Mina also appeared. Eri stifled it, while Mina said, "Kyosuke, you're really popular, amazing," and clapped her hands in applause. Kyosuke sighed deeply and stood. I go for personality. It's not like I'm happy just being popular among the weirdos, you know. 3 days have passed since the incident. And every day since, Kyosuke had been getting these bizarre love calls. In total, 10 girls had approached him. More than 3 per day. It was the start of a true era of romantic popularity for him. Of course, as they were a bunch of murderers, their methods of confessing were nothing if not eccentric. I want to know everything about you, Mr. Kamiya, he heard as he was nearly dissected. I'll devour you, Kyosuke. Become one with you, he heard as he was tackled by a girl with full black eyes. I want to turn you into furniture and do some interior decorating, he heard, receiving a cryptic come on with the girl with the saw in her hand. And if he wasn't dealing with some bizarre confession of love, he was running around in fear of certain death from the furious hands of Bob, who, falling with the shock of redemption, transformed into an uncontrollable human juggernaut, and destroyed a section of one of the school buildings. That alone was enough to drive him to. The fact that Renko and Yuki feared for the confessions acted as kind of an insurance against any worst-case scenario. He hadn't needed their help yet, but it was surely just a matter of time. There's no way I can keep this up. I'm really gonna die. Exhausted in mind and body, Kyosuke hung his head, racking his brain source of a plan. But Renko folded her arm and put her index finger to her cheek. All kinds of girls are throwing themselves at you, aren't they? It's pushing your mental limits more than your physical. You can't help being so popular. How can we help you? Oh, I know. Back with inspiration, she clasped her hands together tightly. They're all confessing their loves to you because you're still single. Supposing you were to get a girlfriend, the confessions would stop, right? Don't you think that's a great idea? No, that's impossible, he replied. I don't have anyone. The only people he knew would go out with him if he asked posed a serious threat to his life. Sure you do, Kyosuke. You've got high-quality girlfriend candidates right here. 3 of us. Turning, Renko opened her arms wide and faced Eri and mine. Hearing this, Eri immediately shut her down. Huh? No way. Mina looked down in embarrassment. Yosuke's girlfriend? That's totally impossible. How do I say? Well, sorry. Kyosuke hadn't even expressed interest, and yet he was still being rejected. Come on, Renko, you're making things weird. Lay off, huh? He wouldn't call the atmosphere crushing, but it was pretty oppressive. After all, Eri and Mina were both really beautiful. He had thought that they had become close in their own way over the past few. But what was with those knee-jerk responses? Felt like instant death. Renko nodded at Kyosuke's hurt feelings. Well, okay, then it's settled. Go out with me, Kyosuke. I'll pass. Wait, look, I can't see your face for the gas mask. I think you're really easy to get along with and interesting and all. But dating someone whose face you can't see would be... looking as she did... Bleh. Looking as she did, it was more than a little scary when she went totally silent with this, because her changes in expression were possible to read. Renko huffed at Kyosuke, who could barely contain spasms of laughter. Didn't you say that personality is more important than looks? Is that a lie? It wasn't a lie, but there's a limit, you know. With someone who wears a gas mask 24/7, there's gotta be something up with them, right? It's pretty suspicious. Mean. You're mean, Kyosuke. Too mean. And I believed you. And I believed you when you said that. But you're the kind of person who picks his girlfriend based on her pretty face, aren't you? And you say as long as your boobs are big, you're good. I believed you. Yelling at him in her characteristically willful way, Renko flew at Kyosuke. As a matter of course, her abundant breast pressed against his chest. Feeling the supple substance, Kyosuke couldn't bear it anymore. Cried out, "Hey, stupid, back off. Stop touching me. No way, I will never ever separate from you. Don't throw a tantrum. Don't play with your chest like that. If you move..." Oh, Jesus Christ. Whether accidentally or on purpose, Renko was twisting around and going, "No way, no way." Her boobs rubbed back and forth against Kyosuke with a delightful squish. Even with the gas mask smacking him on the head, it was an experience of pure pleasure. Before he knew it, Kyosuke had abandoned all attempts at resistance. Who cares if she has a gas mask? A sharp click of the tongue interrupted his thoughts, and when he looked, Kyosuke saw Eri glaring at the two of them, down. Oh, thank you for that. Glaring the two of them, misty-eyed, with bloodthirsty. Hello. You're reading a socialite today, as we do on Fridays. It doesn't necessarily have to be a socialite novel, but we do read light novels. It's not porn. That's TOS. That's against the TOS. Having gone... Shut up. Having come to his senses, Yosuke hurriedly put his hands on Renko's shoulders and tried to peel her away. Hey, get off me. It's McMask. Stop trying to make out with me. Harry and mine are watching. Think a little bit about how this works. That's the point, Kyosuke. Renko cried out as she was pushed away. That's the plan. Oh, you want a kiss? I believe that's 500 channel points if you want kisses, gotta pay up. Yeah, I don't make the rules. I mean, I do make the rules because this is my channel. Oh, popping? I'm gonna try. I hope that wasn't a kiss. Mwah. Mwah. There. Where is it? How long is this chapter? Let's see. Today. It's quite what the... We'll see. I believe there's chapters. Yes, we can read chapters for it. The stream can be. It's fine. What chapter? Yeah. Kyosuke gasped blankly after a sudden response. Huh? The plan? What plan? What are you talking about? It's my confession. Confession of love. I thought this would be the best method for stopping the rush of admirers coming after you. Seriously? What is that gonna do? Rinko laughed at Kyosuke. It'll definitely be fun to go out, huh? Good things are sure to happen, so just relax. I'm trying to put an end to your days of perilous danger. He punctuated her bold declaration by thrusting her magnificent chest out with the eye holes of her mask gleamed brightly. Faced with an unusually trustworthy seeming ally, Yosuke regained some of his faded vitality. That's what incredible confidence. I'm counting on you, Rinko. I was an idiot to count on. It was lunchtime, Monday, after the weekend break. Seated in the cafeteria, Yosuke had already sunk into deep despair. He looked up dejectedly at the spoon that was being fed, carrying a scoop of the daily special garbage omelet rice. Rinko, who was seated next to him, grasping his arm in one hand and trying to make him eat the omelet rice with the other, let out a ksh and lowered the spoon regretfully. What's the matter, Kyosuke? You're not going to eat? You're not really getting into it. Let's be more flirty. Following her own suggestion, Rinko pulled his arm closer to her and cuddled up to Kyosuke. The sweet shampoo scent wafted from everywhere on her soft body, strong enough to make him dizzy. If it hadn't been for the glint of the gas mask in the corner of his eyes, he would have likely long ago lost all sense of reason. Since she had first met up with him at the start of lunch period, Rinko had fawned over him beyond excessively. It's like she's showing off for the people around us. Say, Rinko, I don't think any other girls are gonna come near me with you hanging on me like this, but is there anything else we could try? Like this, it looks like we're dating. Right, that's the point. That's the strategy here. It's Operation hang on each other in public and make everyone think we're dating. It's not like we're really going out, so it should be fine, right? Well, yeah, I guess so, but how do I say this? Your voice is so pretty. Oh, thank you. Makes me happy. Where was I? Going out with a mysterious girl in a gas mask. He didn't want to be misunderstood. There's really no way to talk about it without making things awkward. You don't want to be thought of someone who's dating. You don't want to be thought as someone who's dating a mysterious pervert in a gas mask. Hi, Beck. Good evening. Is that it? Ari interjected from across the table, casually speaking his inner thoughts out loud. If I were you, Kosuke, I would find it was disagreeable too. It would make me question my tastes. Rinko seemed shocked at her complete lack of tact. What? I'm not a pervert. You're misunderstanding. Can't you see the purity in my eyes? No, I can't. Can't see them. Anyway, you are a pervert. Aren't you embarrassed to be rubbing all over him like that? look at Mina. Oh. Curling her small body into a ball, looking downward, Mina looked extremely embarrassed, as if to avert her attention from Kyosuke and Yen. She was staring at her meal as hard as she could. In the first place, you're way too worried about this. Harry continued. The confessions of fangirls are going to slow down before too long anyway. So isn't it best to just leave well enough alone? I think provoking them in such a clumsy way will backfire. Finishing up with a snort, Harry returns to her daily special garbage stuff. Perhaps agreeing with her assessment, Rinko pulled away from Kyosuke, nodding enthusiastically. Is that so? Oh, I understand completely. In other words, what Erie is trying to say, you're asking for it, cuddling up to him right in front of my eyes. You're doing it even though I want to make out with Kyosuke too. What? Eri choked on stuff. Oh, Eri, are you okay? Mina stopped eating and began to frantically rub Eri's back. Tears welled up in the corners of Eri's near her eyes as she glared at Ren. Why the hell would you say that? Are you an idiot? Are you going to die? Do you want to die? Well, but didn't you say it yourself, Eri? Renko answered. You said, don't provoke me. I never said that, and besides, don't go imitating me. It's annoying. I wasn't, but whatever. Huh? Didn't I just tell you not to imitate me? That doesn't even sound like me. Tiny boobs are a status symbol. They have scarcity value. Not that I care about that. This often die. Renko was trying hard to push all of her buttons. You're so annoying. Shut up. I'll obliterate. Her voice had reached a falsetto pitch. Standing and leaning forward, Eri was practically shouting. Her eyes, usually distant and calm, were now open. Her cheeks flushed a deep vermilion. Eri's man. Renko cried, "Help me, Kyosuke, I'll be killed." He flung at him energetically, in front of her gas masks impacting the bridge of his nose with a cone. Her boobs squished off against his softball. Oh, hey, don't cling to me, Renko. Don't drag me. Eri's wide eyes seized on Kyosuke. He was doing his best to tear Renko. Her eyebrows raised high in spasm. You say that, but at the same time, you're excited, aren't you, you sex fiend? Your nose is bleeding, Anna offered. Blood is gushing out of your nose, Kyosuke. Huh? He raised a hand to his face. And came away with bright red coating his fingers. The hell is this? Wait, it's because Renko's mask hit me. It's because her boobs hit you. Jesus Christ, this novel. What is this story? Eri accused. Why do you get so excited just for some boobs? I don't understand. They're just lumps of fat. They're chub rolls. Eri, you don't have any boobs, do you, Mina? Sorry, I've always liked you, Eri, so... Perhaps because there was no way she could believe that Mina had said such a thing. Eri placed both her hands on the table and hung her head, chewing her lower lip hard. Her slim shoulders trembled with a slight, rapid. Renko laughed in satisfaction at the coup, and finally let go of Kyosuke. Well then, it looks like I win this round. I think there are also boys who prefer them small, so there's no need to take it too seriously. It looks like Kyosuke likes them big, though. Are you crying over my boob, Larry? Repeating yourself for some reason. Rinko petted Aries' head comfortingly. Aries, trembling, suddenly sobbed. She slowly lifted her thirsty eye. I won't, ever. I'll never give in to you, stupid. She swung her fist tight, right at Rinko in an aimless arc. Rinko quickly pulled her arm back in surprise and backward. What are you doing, Aries? That's dangerous, you know. It's close, her hand almost struck home. Even as she appeared to falter from Rinko's over. Aries immediately furrowed her brow in displeasure. Shut up. You're just getting what you deserve. Whenever you open your mouth, it's boobies. So annoying. And what's up with that mask anyway? Is it from Slipknot? Either way, it's so bad that it makes me doubt your sanity, say nothing of your fashion sense. Did you say? Rinko slapped the table and leaned forward. Don't make fun of them. I can't forgive those comments. The comments about Slipknot or the comments about her boobs? That's the real question. I'll show you how a headbanger throws down in a mosh pit. The air between them crankled. Tension. If you think you can kill me, go ahead and try. I'll beat you at your own game. Would that be your revenge for earlier? Renko taunted. When it comes to boobs, there's no doubt that I reign supreme. Ari was almost too angry for words. Well, I win in every other category then. Do you even have any appeal aside from your taste? Of course I do. I have big double-lidded eyes and full sexy lips and... I told you, I can't see any of that for your... mask. Don't repeat the same again. Scoffed. And anyway, just then, corners of her turned down as he faced him. Huh? Yosuke answered around the napkin that Mina had helpful. Plug isn't. What are you two flirting for? Ari demanded, glaring at Kyosuke. Are you trying to pick a fight? Right. Isn't that just too cruel? While Ari and I were competing for your attention, this man-stealer, this cheating... Rinko's wailing reverberated through the cafeteria as she beat her hands against the table again and again. Ari's expression grew more solemn. I am not competing, she grumbled. The alleged manslayer, Mina, looked back and forth between Rinko and Ari in astonishment. Well, I'm sorry. I had no intention of... Hey, all of you, calm down, okay? Kyosuke interrupted. At least dial down the volume a little. It took a moment for Kyosuke to notice the many pairs of staring eyes fixed intently on the four of them. The girls in particular eyed them with dangerous glare. The emotions in their eyes were dark. Envy. And hatred was there too. The longing desire that had been directed at Kyosuke so far had been completely flipped on its head. Of course, Renko and the others were the cause. From a third party's perspective, the spectacle of three girls quarreling, with Kyosuke at the center of it all, must have been an absolute scene of carnage. It would have felt very good to watch. A great number of ominous voices came flying into Kyosuke's ear, as unpleasant sweat began to flow. Yeah, these bitches are trying to snatch away Kyosuke's life without me. I'm disappointed in you, Kyosuke. Fine then, I'll destroy you. If I can't have you, see to it you are completely destroyed. Say what? Calm down, Ezreal. It would be terrible to unleash your heaven-scorching health fire now, while everyone around us. The atmosphere in the cafeteria had noticeably darkened. Every student could feel the tension. It would not have seemed out of place had the entire town rushed him then and there. Rinko's strategic attempts to make everyone think the two of them dating had a spectacular failure. In fact, it had exactly the opposite of her intended effect. At the heart of it, the man himself was certainly stupid, Kyosuke, you idiot. Rinko continued to wail, oblivious to the crowd, but I still love him. She raised her voice and clung to him even more tightly. Hostility raining down on them, like machine gun fire, morphed into a genuine intent to kill. You're the idiot, Rinko, Kyosuke protested. Aren't you the one provoking them further? Hey, don't listen to your music. Listen to what I'm saying. Turn down that volume. Come to think of it, Rinko did say that she's always listening to music, so she probably can't really hear the voices all around. This isn't just somebody else's problem, though. Yosuke made a bitter face. Almost got run off the road, but made it for ASMR time. Oh no, that's scary. I hope you're okay. I hope everything's okay. Very more pissed than scared. Now that I think about it, it makes me scared. Well, the important thing is that you're safe. Driving is so scary. Kyosuke made a better face. The jealousy and hatred of the female students was directed more at Renko than at Kyosuke. Harry was the only person who seemed to notice it. Lived to X-ray cancer another day. Yay! Harry was the only person who seemed to notice this. And after glancing at the lineup, your mic is a little quiet. Okay. Just bring my mic. Like this. Little bit. Okay, like is this better? Where was I? Ari was the only person who noticed it. A little bit. Okay. Okay, good. Ari was the only person who seemed to notice it, and after glancing at the dejected Mina, who was muttering, "I'm not a home wreck," to herself, he glared at her surroundings with narrow eyes. "It's fine, Kyosuke. Mina has me by her side. We won't interfere." Just as one would expect from a cutthroat who had killed 6 people. Not a sign of fear, and Mina herself, her own deadly clumsiness. The two of them could hold their own. The one he was worried about was Renko, but... "Didn't you just leave her here?" Harry offered. "You're in different classes, and she'd be getting what she deserved, anyway. She's always teasing you if you has huge breasts, or what if I were to rough her up myself? She's better off dead anyway." Despite the cruelty of her suggestions, Aries' tone was casual, almost relaxed. Isn't the huge breast thing a personal grudge? Rubbing her gas mask against Kyosuke's chest, Rinko looked at Eri with a start. Huh? Better off dead? What are you? How mean. I'm gonna die from shock, in body and mind. I'm just a weak girl, so... I'm just a weak little girl, so I will. In fact, when it comes to present fragility, I'm just like a baby. Kyosuke and Eri let out sighs at Renko's theatrical speed. They had no idea what kind of homicidal maniac she was, but Renko didn't seem the least bit worried, even in this situation. Just once I'd like her to at least display some genuine fear or pain. Kyosuke thought, if she could do that, then maybe that mask she insists on wearing might also come unstuck from her head. Renko? There were several days after the big uproar in the cafeteria during the second period break. Yosuke mumbled in amazement before Renko, who was completely changed. Why not grass? Gasped sharply, and Eri bit her lips silently. Who the hell would do something like this? Too cruel. She was in an indescribably gruesome condition. As if the gas mask itself hadn't been enough, now graffiti was scribbled all over the surface. Ugly, bitch, fake tits, die of heat stroke, and so on. Written in multicolored ink, the words collectively illustrated the spite, hostility, and murderous desires of the writer. The black surface was almost completely covered. She didn't have any obvious mood. The graffiti alone was more than enough to showcase the malice and viciousness of her assailants, and it made Kyosuke and the others shudder. They took it as a warning, or maybe a threat. Sitting at the center of their small group, Rinko raised a hand. I was so surprised. When I woke up, there were girls surrounding my chair. They really looked like they were out for blood, and I guess there had been some kind of trouble. I was in my dozed-off state. I asked them what happened, and they just yelled at me. Don't start acting up now, and rigid bitch. Other mean stuff. That must have been terrible. Those girls must have misunderstood and thought they were being ignored, never imagining that Renko had slept through the whole process. Most people... Hi, Vec. Most people would expect that if someone wearing a gas mask was sitting up normally, then they would be awake like a normal person. And the strange reactions started in first period, when the teacher looked at my face and asked, "What is that?" And then I answered, "It's a fashion statement." He made a strange face and went silent. Huh? I thought, and after that everyone asked me about it, and I didn't really know what to say. Is my mask really that strange? With her head tilted to the side, Rinko's voice was utterly free of worry. It was like she had no grasp on her situation. Was it innocence or defenselessness? She really had her own way of doing things. Bewildered and amazed by this quality of her, Kyosuke took a more direct approach. Renko, your mask is covered with graffiti. Oh, what did you say? Who the hell? When did they? Bending forward, Renko's whole body shook with surprise. It's obvious. Eri spat in an irritated tone. It was the girls who crowded around you. They spoke to you, but you didn't reply, so they harassed you. Clearly. What miserable jerks. Maybe better off dead. That's right, it's cruel, added mine. How pitiful Renko looks with all these mean things written on her. We better clean her up quickly. Yep. She stood up from her chair and wiped vigorously at Renko's mask with her handkerchief, to absolutely no effect. Renko patted the smaller girl's head affectionately. "Hmm, okay, thanks, Mina. Don't worry about it. I'll be sure to get it off during the next break. By the way, what kind of things are written on it?" "Beautiful breasts, beautiful girl, and so on." No, more like witch tits, pervert girl, and poison boobs, so on. But I told them I'm not a pervert. I don't even know what they mean with poison and evil. That doesn't even make sense. Those aren't even insults. "They totally are," Eri replied. "They're graffiti, so I think they must be." Yosuke answered simultaneously. She has absolutely no sense of danger. Renko didn't seem to have any idea of how other people felt about her. Sure enough, she folded her arms quizzically. "Anyway, why would I have such a thing done to me all of a sudden, I wonder?" He pouted, and furthermore, the perpetrators were all girls. Would they be jealous of my beautiful face and boobs? Like Eri. He continued, oblivious. Eri's eyebrow twitched sharply. She glared at the graffiti-covered man. "Huh? Oh, that's not all. Dumbass girl, is the inside of your head hollow? Because the only nutrition... Is the inside of your head hollow because you only take nutrition from dead breasts? Die, from respiratory distress." "What? Stop saying such demeaning stuff. It's cruel, so cruel." That's right, stop it, Harry. Minor reproach. Stepping between them. Renko's the one who got hurt, and yet... Perhaps because Mina had taken Renko's side, Eri frowned sullenly. "Whatever, I was just reading the graffiti anyway. She's not actually hurt, but... Renko, you're still laughing like an idiot. Surely your bloodlust must be practically boiling." She clearly meant to agitate Renko, who had maintained her easygoing attitude. Renko placed an index finger on her chin. "Let me see." She pondered aloud. "It's absolutely no way, not even a little bit close to boiling. Actually, I think it's kind of cute, like a collection of autographs, don't you think? It's too bad I can't see myself, but tell me, what kinds of other things are written there? They went to the trouble, so they went to all the trouble, so tell me." Kyosuke, Eri, and Mina all stared in amazement at Renko's simple-mindedness, all wearing the same expression of disbelief. Did Renko ever really kill anybody? They all pondered. Renko seems like a harmless lump who didn't mind no matter what was done. He didn't mind no matter what was done to her. He didn't seem to be the slightest bit evil. Or perhaps she might be intentionally hiding her own insanity. I don't know what to think. This ugly, graffiti-covered mess hides Renko's interior self, along with her face. A kernel of fear had nonetheless taken hold of Kyosuke's mind. He was clearly hiding something behind that and those mannerisms. Come on, you guys. Don't keep quiet. Wait, no, that's her talking. Come on, you guys, don't keep quiet. Tell me. You've come to fancy the mask like this, to the point where you can't bear to leave for your next class, is that it? Come on, get a good look. For her part, Renko seemed entirely unconcerned with what Kyosuke might be thinking. He pulled back the hood of her sweatshirt and turned her head, pointing to the sides of the gas mask, which now had been obscured. The mask was the sort that only covered the front of the face, and now that he could see it clearly, Yosuke was surprised by how unexpectedly small it was. A large pair of clunky black headphones covered her ears. The rest was uncovered. Her long bluish-silver hair spilled out from between the black bands, secured the mask to her face. As he studied the gas mask, A certain piece of graffiti crossed Kyosuke's eyes. Caught Kyosuke's eye. On the right cheek of the mask, just to the side of the headphone, written in pink fluorescent paint. Dear Kyosuke, right. I'll be waiting behind the gym tomorrow morning. Tomorrow during lunch. Please make sure to come alone, okay? Unless you want this girl to die. It was a note specifically calling Kyosuke out. It read a lot like the other love letters he had been receiving, though this was the first one that had ended with such an overt threat. Perhaps because of the grimace that had crept across his face. Eri looked at Kyosuke with puzzled eyes. What is it, Kyosuke? No, nothing. It's nothing at all. Kyosuke tried to hide his fear and anxiety. A disarming smile. Behind a disarming smile as his thoughts raced. If he ignored the invitation, Renka would be put in danger. On the other hand, this might be a chance for Kyosuke and the others to expose whatever it was that Renka was hiding. If she was actually an exchange killer, an insane killer, then putting her in a life or death situation would surely reveal her true nature. What should I do? Ignore it? There doesn't seem to be any harm in doing that for now. In previous incidences, when he had been called out, his own life had been at stake if he didn't accept the challenge. Rather than deal with the hassle of repeated frenzied ambushes, Yosuke had tried to face each one openly, preferring quick resolution. However, this time he didn't have that option. If he ignored this invitation, Renka would be the one facing trouble, not him. And whatever she was hiding would surely be revealed. 2 birds with 1 stone. However, come on, quit holding out on me, Renka whined. It's too mean. I don't mind if it was graffitied by people I don't know, but if I'm ignored by my friends, I'm gonna get angry too. Pulling her hood back to its usual position, Renka laughed. Yosuke looked at Renko, wondering how she could stay so mysterious. If, against the odd, this affable, simple-minded girl is not hiding anything after all, and I got her into trouble. If against the odds, this affable, simple-minded girl is not hiding anything after all, got her into trouble that got her killed, would that be any different than if I were to kill Renko myself? Then I'd be just the same as the rest of these bastards. No, different. The murderers that Kyosuke... No different. The murderers that Kyosuke hated and scorned. That's right. What the hell was I thinking? There's only one answer. Ari's gaze bored straight through Kyosuke, as if he had something to say, while he had made a fist beneath his desk. However, she only glared and said nothing. Huh? Nobody's here? Am I early? It was the agreed-upon hour. Yosuke, who made his way to the back of the gym, surveyed his deserted surroundings and scratched the back of his head. Nestled between the wall of the building and a tall grove of trees, this place was dim and gloomy even in the afternoon. He had been called out here a number of times, but this was his first time here alone. Renko and the others, who had surreptitiously watched over him before, were far away in the cafeteria now, watching them with a made-up errand to take care of. Kyosuke had slipped off alone. That meant that, in a worst-case scenario, he could not exactly expect help to. Oh shit, I'm scared. He's late. I really don't play around with me like this. beat quickly with extreme anxiety and tension. His clenched fists were sweaty in his pockets. And then, "Hello there. My apologies for making you wait." From behind him, oh, it was a dude. Oh, I thought it was a girl. Well, hello there. My apologies for making you wait. From behind him came a male voice that Kyosuke instantly recognized. Stepping out from the shadow of the building, waving his hand and greeting as he approached, was a fair-skinned, beautiful brown-haired boy. Most of his bandages had been removed, but he was still a pitiful sight, with big gauze pads and plasters stuck all over his face and arms. Despite his battered condition, the boy's expression was cheerful. Kyosuke's bad hunch turned into chills, creeping up his spine. "Shinji, why are you..." Before he could finish his question, a group of students appeared behind Shinji, following him out of the shadow of the building. 1, 2, 3, 4, including Shinji. There were 6 altogether. All of them were boys and probably first-year students too. He remembered catching sight of these faces in the classroom and hallways of their school building. And that wasn't all. In the shadows of the opposite side, yet more boys appeared, cutting off Kyosuke's escape route. This group, too, was exactly 6 people. At his head stood Onogi and Usami. Every one of them had glared at Kyosuke like they might pounce at any moment. Shinji shrugged and stuck his tongue out like he was trying to make a joke. Perhaps you already... perhaps could you already be promised to someone? My apologies. But I'm pleased, Mr. Kamnia. You came alone exactly as requested. As you might expect, boys like us don't much fancy the thought of taking you on all on our danger. Boys like us don't much fancy the thought of taking on all of your dangerous little group at once, you see. Ah, is that it? I see. Standing in front of Shinji, who was grinning ear to ear, Kyosuke realized he had been set up. Shinji had no doubt asked a friend in Class B to write the note calling him out, in order to lure him out here for an ambush, and he'd walked right into it. If I screw this up, I'll probably be killed. This is bad. This is checkmate. My whole life is probably in checkmate. Hey, come on, what do we do? What do we do, Kyosuke? Think. Even as he maintained his outward composure, Kyosuke's mind was on the verge of panic. His classmates were practically salivating, both of the brim with bloodlust. Each one of their eyes were ablaze, shining with the fires of anticipation, just as the girls were jealous of Rinko flirting with Kyosuke. The boys were jealous of Kyosuke getting that kind of affection, and wanted to see him dead. Amiya, you're being too cocky, you bastard. You're always being waited upon by those girls who follow you around. Don't show off, asshole. I'll kill ya. I'll definitely destroy you. Won't put up with it anymore. I'm at the limits of my patience. Forget that mask-wearing pervert. You have 2 beautiful girls hanging off of you. On top of that, getting new love loans every day? I mean it, die. Flinging sunglasses aside, licking lips, stomping feet in frustration, preparing to use his left arm. All killers sided up to him. Though none of them carried a deadly weapon, in their eyes shone madness enough to make Kyosuke win. Standing toward the back of the group, Kyosuke brushed his hair back in obvious self-satisfaction. Shinji brushed his hair back. You're in too deep, Kamnia. They say the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. And that nail is you. Of course, nobody expected you to stand out in quite this way. But that's not really a problem now, is it? Shinji said, spreading his arms out dramatically. You've killed 12 ordinary people? Killing 12 murderers should be no big deal, right? Well then, please try to kill us, if you don't. Shinji raised his right hand and snapped his fingers with a loud crack. On cue, the other boys pulled out the weapons they'd been hiding. Carving knives, scissors, utility knives, daggers, drills, and more. All of them gleamed dangerously. You're going to have to die yourself. Flashing a sadistic smile, Tinsley slowly folded his arm. It seemed like he had no intention of getting his own hands dirty. He was not even holding a weapon. Do you see these weapons, Kamiya? If I were to use words, Cindy continued, as if to use words themselves as weapons, we got them from a certain friend using the black market. Here in prison, smuggling weapons is similar to smuggling in luxury items. That is to say, it's quite dangerous and difficult to move this many of it. But it seems that our friend also does not think too highly of you, you see. Oh, whoops. I didn't notice that. Chapter 4. There's 5 chapters. Whoops, I didn't notice that. Whoopsies. Oh, hello moment. Oh, whoopsie. Sorry, where was I? The smile disappeared from Shinji's face as his bloodshot eyes opened wide. Dealing with you once and for all, Mr. Kamiya. His words were blunt. Dealing with Kyosuke once and for all. Committing a new murder inside an institution meant to rehabilitate murderers. He said it as though it were nothing. What? Kyosuke's mind drew a blank. The pack of murderers in school uniforms approached him with insanity in their eyes and deadly weapons in their hands. Confronted with such a sight, Kyosuke found that he couldn't move a muscle. Shinji kept him fixed with expressionless eyes. Involuntarily, he began to tremble. Well then, won't you please show me, Mr. Kamiya? Show me your skills as the warehouse butcher, that is. Killer of 12? How many of us do you think you can kill in the end, Again, he smiled broadly. Kyosuke Kamiya? Just shut the hell up while we end you. Brandishing a gleaming butterfly knife, Onugi fumed a 3. With Shinji abstaining, 11 murderers rushed at Kyosuke. What? The right straight punch, thrown with all his might, caved in the side of his opponent's face, knocked onto the copse of trees and spraying a mix of spittle and blood. Onugi skidded to a stop, unmoving. Bracing himself against the momentum that threatened to pitch him forward with the force of the follow-through, Kyosuke surfaced the scene, breathing hard. It had been maybe 10 minutes since the fight had started, however. Kyosuke panted on his knees. This isn't a big deal as what, huh? Catching his breath, Kyosuke raised the corners of his mouth to a bold grin. Among the 11 murderers who had attacked him, only one remained, cowering on the ground, holding his uninjured left arm and making a fuss. The others had already had their fill of violence at Kyosuke's hand. Not one of them were laying there so much as... Not one of them were laying there. Not one of them laying there even so much as twitched. Without expectation, every one of them was up. Eyes rolled back in their... Looking around at his miserable comrade, Shinji held his forehead and sighed. What useless boys they were. I mean, really. Or maybe I should ask, Mr. Com, you're some kind of monster? That this many people still failed to kill you? How should I say? Highly abnormal. Practically spat the words, glaring at Kyosuke. With rage. I'm no monster, Kyosuke answered. You're all just too weak. Murderers. His uniform and hair were in unbelievable disarray. Countless lacerations of various sizes crisscrossed his skin, and blood stained his clothing. It was nothing serious. The sheer numbers of cuts looked like a big deal, but most of them were nothing more than scratches. Even his fading strength would soon recover, fueled by adrenaline and violent momentum. Kyosuke, who had walked away from any number of fights in the trouble like this was barely trouble at all. They may have been murderers, but when it came to a fight, these boys were total amateurs. Kyosuke couldn't help but laugh. Is that it? Well, what now? There are only 2 of you left, Shinji. 2 of us? You didn't bother with this useless idiot, and... Come to think of it, looking past the other boy who was still talking to his own left arm, Shinji grew quiet, then, biting his lips, his head hung down and his shoulders began to shake. Scornful laughter burst from his crescent mouth. Both Kyosuke and the boy who was holding his left arm looked at Shinji in confusion. What's so funny? Kyosuke demanded in a low voice. Shinji immediately halted his loud laughter and raised his head to face Kyosuke. His expression fueled with joyful arrogance caused a chill of a bad premonition to run up Kyosuke's spine. What's so funny? Of course it's funny. I told you already, didn't I, Mr. Kamiya? I said there are only 2 of you left, but you see, Mr. Kamiya. Since he lowered his eyes, his gaze did not fall on Kyosuke, but rather on the scene behind him. Ah, shit, Al. You really got me, Kamiya. I'm definitely gonna wreck you. You really hit me. I won't forgive you. Several of the other students had recovered, once again clenched their weapons in their hands, expressions filled with bloodlust. Shinji sneered, stifling the laughter in his pale throat. As you can see, you've yet to kill a single one of us. I'm beginning to wonder if you really have it in you, Mr. Kamiya. And you're supposed to be the butcher of 12? Shinji had hit the bullseye. Yosuke wasn't the warehouse butcher. He was nothing more than an ordinary person, and he had no intention of killing his opponents. Even if he felt like he wanted to kill someone, Yosuke hadn't committed murder. He couldn't. Shinji smiled and testified as Kyosuke ground his teeth and crushed... Sorry. As Kyosuke ground his teeth in frustration. Well, what will you do? You'll be killed if you continue on like this. Even the boy on the ground holding his left arm, perhaps inspired by Shinji's rhetoric, began to work himself up into a frenzy, saying, "Oh, so you finally calmed down, Azrael. You're such a troublesome fellow." In his other hand, he hoisted a nail-studded bag. Surrounding Kyosuke now were 5 boys altogether, including Shinji. Most of them were wounded, but the murderous rage in their eyes was just that much stronger for it. With a slight unconscious flinch, Kyosuke spat out his fear along with the saliva and glared at the boys surrounding. Of course I don't have the slightest intention of killing you assholes. But I also don't intend to be killed. Is anyone here who thinks you can take me out? Give it a try. But scum like you, half a killing is plenty. But until you lose the ability to stand up on your own, I'm gonna wail on you. Interrupting Kyosuke's angry shout, Shinji reached into his blazer, pushing out a weapon of his own. Oh. Is that so? Well then, why don't you go ahead and do that? From inside a pocket, he pulled out a crude revolver. What? A gun? Are you serious? Absolutely unexpected sight of a firearm snapped all of Yosuke's hot-blooded energy in an instant. Yosuke had walked away from many fights, but this was the first time he had ever had a gun pointed at him. Since he leveled the pistol at Kyosuke with both hands. Of course, I'm quite serious, Mr. Kong. The friend who so kindly acquired this weapon for me, along for the rest of us, all of us, were, as we earnestly intend to kill you. Shinji cocked the hammer with a loud click. Hi, radio. I've been able to stack the deck a bit in my favor. Oh, bye. Thanks for stopping by. Where was it? The unlikely event. Oh, thank you. In the unlikely event that we fail to finish off, we're all facing a pretty serious discipline, so we really have no choice. He glared at Kyosuke with bitter, steady breath. Don't escape Kyosuke's thought. But he couldn't turn his attention away from the revolver. As if engulfed by the darkness of the gun barrel, the inside of his mind was shrouded in the deep black of despair. It's a nice face, Mr. Kamnia. You're probably tired by now too, right? I'm gonna make it easy for you. Death is the eternal rest, you know? Shinji sneered, pink gums visible. Yep. Thank you for what am I doing? If you were a girl, I would give you the honor of Jesus Christ. But so sorry, huh? Behind Shinji was the dense copse of trees was surrounded by a shadow, despite the daylight, and the gloom seemed to symbolize the darkness filling the gang's murderous hearts. Well, this is it. Going to die here. For a moment, the darkness that contrasted and expanded as the trees swayed in the wind. Aizuka's image floated up in his mind. Well then, good night, Mr. Kamnia. Sweet nightmare. His face cold and cruel, and she moved his finger to the trigger. Just die. A figure burst from the shadows of the trees, a little more than a blur of the moment, closing in on Shinji faster than the eye could follow. Don't move. Quickly and gracefully the figure was upon him, its left hand covering his mouth, and his right hand pressed against his throat, ready to take him down. The long, supple fingers were tipped with beautiful scarlet nails. If you move, I'll kill you. Press your throat in. Be a good boy and give me the revolver. Shinji stiffened, eyes open. Yosuke and the other murderers stood dumbfounded, bewildered with this sudden development. With everyone's eyes on her, restraining Shinji from behind was... That goes for you two assholes. Nobody move if you vow this guy's life. She wore a uniform with a short skirt and a rust red, wavy pony. Squinting her eyes the same color as her hair, she seemed more displeased than usual. Why are you here, Eri? No reason. I only came to check out the situation. Speaking of which, why are you here? And why haven't you killed anybody? Her voice sounded more irritated than usual. Covered in so many wounds, you're the warehouse butcher. Just what are you waiting for? Why should I have to bother? She clicked her tongue in displeasure. Simji seemed to finally realize who exactly had him by the throat. His eyes, wavering with shock and agitation, regained their composure in a twinkle. Please don't embrace me without warning, Miss Harry. Your fingers are chilly. Tell me, how are mine? He tossed the revolver away, and he's now empty hand, up towards Eric's exposed thigh. Move another centimeter and I'll slice your ribbons. He pressed one of his nails into the skin, drawing bright red blood. Catching his breath, Shinji stiffened once again. The crowd of murderers was tense with fear and anticipation. He's on.
Yes, hi,
oh,
hello.
Thanks for following. Where was I? She's unarmed, so how did she? Very scornfully, laughed scornfully at her spectacy. Amateur. A lethal weapon only has value so far as it can be concealed. Kill without letting your target know it's of existence until the final moment. Each and every one of you prepared an ostentatious weapon. Haven't you heard of a surprise attack? A truly lethal weapon would be. In the moment you realize it's a weapon, just as soon as you realize it's a weapon. Once you've realized it's a weapon, you're already dead. Like my nails. Mary's nails. Her nails were beautiful, with a foundation of bright red polish, ornamented with multicolored rhinestones and Swarovski crystals. The pointed ends were bordered with black luster steel. Suzaku fingernail blades, ultra-thin, miniature Japanese blades attached to the tips of my fingernail. They can slice right through wood, plastic, and of course flesh and bone as easily as butter. 3 fingers on each hand, index, middle, ring finger, for these tiny blades. 6 in all. That's my deadly weapon. Aries' eyes, which were now wide open, gleamed like naked steel, sharpened to a diamond edge. They were the crystallization of her sheer, murderous will. The bewilderment that she spread among the murderers turned to shock and fear. Eri Akabane, she was the slasher who had killed 6 people, the true top of the class. This was the first time that Kyosuke had ever seen her terrible glory with his own eyes. Do you know why I'm telling you about my deadly weapon before I kill you? It's because showing you my weapon before I kill you is, in a way, a warning. I'm giving you a second chance. So, I'd be happy to just slash you right now. Keeping my nails so pristine can be a real pain. If you swear not to come near us again after this, I'll overlook this for you, just this one time. Eri glared at him, murder flashing in her coppery red eyes. The boys encircling Kyosuke seemed to falter slightly at the sight of her bloodthirsty gaze. Hey, what do we do? Are those eyes for real? There's only one of her. Plus she's a girl. A restless light glistened in Aries' eyes. I see. Then I'll start by killing this first one. First I'll push my finger into your kidney area. A lot of nerves are gathered here, so it will hurt so badly you'll wish you were dead. You'll convulse with an intense, gut-wrenching pain, and once your body collapses and you're pinched, I'll slit open your belly for you, cutting open your skin and tearing through your flesh, shaving off your fat and slicing up your bones, tearing up your internal organs. I get it. Please stop. I'll do as you say, so stop. And she cried, interrupting Aries' dispassionate monologue. All the color had drained from his face, and it seemed like the rest of his murderous entourage had lost their nerve as well. Eri smiled in satisfaction as she desperately traced a finger from Shinji's throat down to the side of his abdomen, where his kidney would be. Oh, is that so? Well, it's fine if you get it. But only if you really do get it. After all, you're a cowardly fool who can't do anything more than torment helpless prey. Hey, you guys. Have those idiots sleeping over there and get out of here. Once you've done that, I'll let this one go. Now get lost. No one dared defy Ares' orders, discarding their weapons and shuddering and shouldering their unconscious comrades. They ran away as fast as they could. As he was leaving, Onuki spat out a reckless parting remark. I'll remember this, tiny bits. Bruh. Probably not best to insult you when she's sparing your life. Just saying. But Eri just glanced at him, snapped back, shaking her fist. Tiny tits are the best. Cutting boards reign supreme. 8 cups are seriously great. An instant later, he was gone with the rest of them. Her anger beginning to dissipate. Eri let out a small sigh as she kicked the revolver. Well, that happened. Now you disappear too. Never start anything with me again, Shinji, you laughable pervert. I don't want to sully my perfect nails with your filthy blood. With that, she kicked Shinji square in the back as hard as she could. Ugh. Shinji pitched forward from the kick, falling awkwardly on all fours. With his head hung low, the boy's expression was not visible. Was it fear or something closer to shame? His body trembled slightly. His grasping fingers dug into the dirt on the ground. Airy laughter echoed up from Shinji's still bleeding throat. I understand, Miss Airy. I will never again meddle in your affairs. Only. Slowly standing, Shinji turned to face Airy again. His sick smile was so wide that it threatened to tear his face apart. Please remember this very well. Going forward, if you should happen to die, Miss Airy, I will be putting my hands on you. Like flies and hyenas, I will sniff out the scent of death. Do just as I please with your body, once it has become a corpse. Till then, goodbye. I may rush to your side at the moment of your death. I'll always be sniffing around. You please remember that very well, Miss Harry. Leaving his words to linger like the promise of a curse, since he turned on his heels and calmly walked, glaring at the... Oh, hydrate. Yeah, I've been talking for a bit. Haven't I? Thank you. Okay. Now do things you've been putting off. Yeah? Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye. Take care, Felix. Bye. Where was I? Where was I? Harry snatched the revolver up from the ground, and with one hand, casually aimed at Shinji's back. You'd better die before me. He pretended to pull the trigger, then shrugged. Her harsh, half-lidded eyes. Her half-lidded eyes, always, seemed to take no heed of the words Shinji left behind. Yosuke was once again reminded that Eri was the one person whom he absolutely did not want to have. Oh. You're pathetic, Yosuke. Don't fall apart. Ray advanced toward where Kyosuke sat leaning against the wall of the gymnasium. Mindful of her hidden blades, she pushed her hair back using her thumb and pinky finger, and looked at him rather sternly. So this is our top of the class murderer? What a joke. Never mind 12 people, you didn't even kill one. If you wanted to, you would have been able to take out any one of them, so why? Well, that's... see... I want to. There's no way I can answer her truthfully. Even less so after he had found out Eri's secret to success as the Scarlet Slasher. Kyosuke kept silent and averted his gaze, and Eri let out another sigh. You're difficult to understand, you know that? You've killed 12 people, yet in a strange way, you're charming. This time you didn't bother to tell us honestly that you've been called out. And then you even made an excuse to get away. You're acting strange, and when I secretly came to see what was going on, you were going to go and get yourself killed. That doesn't make any sense, so what was that about? Looking at the dirt with her shoes, Eri prattled on in irritation. Yet Kyosuke searched Eri's face for any indication that she had been worried about him. Her half-lighted eyes were only sleepy, and he detected none of the sharp bloodlust that had been there a short while ago. Like a sword returned to a scabbard, she had completely returned to being normal Eri. A girl who, while appearing sullen, in reality was worrying over people. He understood her far less now after seeing her behave as a Scarlet Slasher. Why would Eri act this way? I may be strangely charming, but aren't you just the same way? You're a cutthroat who murdered 6 people, and on top of that, you fuss over using the blades on your nails to kill. Why'd you take it upon yourself to save me? Not just me, but Mina too. You're always meddling in one thing or another. In the end, you threatened them. You didn't kill anyone either. Eri raised her eyebrows high, round, and kept quiet for a moment. After a brief silence, she looked down at Kyosuke, scoffing. Huh? Don't lump me in with you. The reason I let those guys live is because I decided that just threatening them. I was entirely prepared to slit his throat. Compared to you, who had no intention to kill in the first place, I'm different. Mostly I'm... Stopping for a moment, Eri looked hard at her finger. Ingeniously camouflaged, he kept those deadly weapons hidden until now. Devised solely for stealthy slaughter. Her nails were razor-sharp works of art. The fingernail blade, Suzaku. They were the accumulation of Eri's exceptional fastidiousness toward the art of murder. I'm no amateur killer, she mumbled, still staring at her deadly nail. I'm a professional. Huh? Kyosuke had clearly had no idea what Eri was saying. Professional at killing? Yeah, that's right, a hitman. Though, in my case, assassin is more appropriate. People who kill in the course of some individual or event, or who do it as a hobby, and those are amateurs. Those of us who take requests and orders to carry out kills are professionals. That's why I don't kill people recklessly. I'm not in the habit of cheap murder, with no reason or significant or profit. Surely you understand that I'm not an amateur. Having seen my concealed weapons? Closing one eye, Eri held up her brightly colored nail. It was too refined a weapon for an amateur. But it seemed reasonable that Eri would use it as a profession. There was no question, however. There was one question, however, that needed to be answered. Supposing you're not just a killer, but a professional and assassin, as I understand it, at least I think I understand it, then why are you in a place like this? Purgatorium Remedial Academy is a facility for rehabilitating killers, isn't it? Isn't it strange that someone like you would be here? Eri grimaced at Kyosuke's After standing there quietly for a short while, he sullenly looked away. Not particularly. There's no special reason for it, I just screwed up. That's all. I was witnessed doing a job by an ordinary person and got caught. Nothing more. Don't ask me anything else about it, okay? She glanced at him, glaring with half-lidded eyes. Yosuke couldn't say another word. Oh, hi, Kuro. Been a while. How are you? Hi. How have you been? Kyosuke didn't say another word, pinned under that strong gaze. Great, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Short while, a delicate silence descended between the two, alone together in the quiet shade behind the school gym. I miss your lovely voice. Sorry, I've missed so many streams. Oh, thank you. No, you don't have to apologize. I understand life gets in the way. People can't always watch me all the time. But I'm happy that when people do have the time to watch, they're able to enjoy. Yeah. For a short while, a delicate silence descended between the two, alone together in the quiet shade behind the school gym. It was quickly broken by the chime signaling the end of lunch period. Happy to hear you again right before bed, too. Yeah. And start of the rest of the day. We're almost done this year. Like 20 pages? Not even, like 18. And that's the reason for it. That's basically what capital punishment is. Sorry I'm late. The door in front of the classroom opened with a clutter. Eri stepped through. At the chalkboard, Kirima's smooth writing came to an abrupt stop. The student's eyes quietly gathered on the intruder. Oh, Harry, Aina wondered, her eyes growing wide. Shinji, Usami, and Udanagi stiffened visibly. Without bothering to look at them, Harry yawned softly, facing Kurumiya, who had not moved from her place in front of the blackboard. I'm late because during lunch I saved Kamiya from getting killed by these guys, and then stopped by the infirmary on my way back. He threw down the assorted weapons that Shinji and his lackeys had pulled out together. Among them, laying on the podium behind Kuriyama, was Shinji's revolver. A gun? Mina's hysteric shriek led the uproar that engulfed the class. Shock, excitement, and confusion, even among this crowd of murderers. Oh, thank you. Among this crowd of murderers, it was likely the first time most of them had seen a real firearm. In the midst of the tumult, in a severe voice that demanded attention, Eri addressed Kurumiya, who had yet to move. Is it acceptable for such contraband to be circulating among the student body, Miss Kuriyama? If you happen to have any free time in between disciplining latecomers, would you please do something about this? Luckily, Kamiya wasn't hurt, but looking over her shoulder, Eri frowned. What are you doing out there anyway? Kyosuke's bandages and gauze-covered face peeked out from behind the door, where he had been watching events play out. Sorry. Yes, you really have a way of putting things, don't you? Feeling the pressure of Eri's reproachful gaze, he turned away. Talking in that brazen manner in such a snappy tone. Won't that rub Kurima's nerves the wrong way? With a glance at his teacher, who for some reasons still had not moved an inch, not even to acknowledge Eri's word, Yosuke took a timid step to the classroom. Snap. Like a dissected bone, the stick of chalk in Kurima's hands shuddered. I see you've had your way. Yes, I understand very well. Crushing the remaining chalk in her hand, Kurima turned to Kyosuke and Eri. A faint smile adoring her cherubic face. And? He demanded in a low, girlish voice. Is that all you wanted to say? In the opposite hand, from the one that crushed the chalk, he grabbed her menacing pipe. Hang on, why are you disciplining us? Yosuke sputtered. We're just the victims here. Yes, that's right. Now, I'm sure that's all you have to say. Even as Kyosuke began to back away, Eri took a big step forward, her expression calm. Is there a problem? No, of course, there's not. She answered with her usual nonchalance. Kurumiya's eyebrows twitched. Kamiya is late because he was almost killed by other students, as the fault for which lies in the failure of you teachers to provide proper supervision. If you're going to discipline someone, you should start with the assholes who attacked Kamiya. Faced with Eri's fluid verbal attack, Kurumiya puffed out her cheek and stayed silent. Like this, the two of them looked just like a pouting child. Two of them looked just like a pouting child and her mother, who refused to buy a new toy. Amazing. Eri's actually defying Kurumiya. Just as one would expect from a professional assassin. Her nerve was extraordinary. Eri took another step forward and looked down at the shorter Kurumiya. Clearly, Kamiya is injured. Isn't it natural for him to attend class after receiving medical care? I think he's done enough just by showing up at all. Most students don't come to class if they're going... wouldn't come to class if they were going to be beat up to hell and back every time. Shrugging, Eri looked at the vacant seat in the front row. The very visible remains of a desk and chair still covered in patches of dried blood belonged to Mohawk. Just today, first during morning correctional duty, and again during third period, he had been disciplined twice already and sent to the infirmary. When Kyosuke and Eri had stopped there earlier, he had not yet regained consciousness and was hooked up to an artificial respirator, resting peacefully in a hospital bed. Mohawk, Kurima mute, following Eri's gaze to the rear-end desk. That's right, I was thinking that it's about time to actually kill that asshole. She spoke Mohawk's name, made a hateful expression. The pressure radiating from her body faded slightly. It must be because her rage is directed at Mohawk. Perhaps that's what Eri planned. That's enough. If you can, please look out for Kamiya's lateness. Finally, Kurumiya broke the tension. Shouldering the iron pipe and taking a step back, she motioned for Kyosuke to pass. Look, hurry up and take your seat. As for the idiots who attacked Kamiya, I intend to smash you all later. But time is short. Back to your lessons. She spat, eyes fixed on the gun laying in the podium. Eri watched Shinji and his lackeys pale at Kurumiya's promise of punishment with satisfaction. Relaxing her severe expression, she casually moved to her seat. Where do you think you're going? I don't remember saying I would overlook your tardiness too, Akabane. It was a fierce tone of voice. Eri stopped walking, and Kuriyama swung the iron pipe at her face. There were no preparatory movements. It was a supersonic blow, indescribable except as a... Eri evaded the strike by a hair's width, tilting her head ever so slightly. She let the pipe sail past, and in the instant that Kuriyama's arm extended, closed the distance to them. Nothing. What are you doing, Miss Kuriyama? Kurumiya? Thank you for relaxing time. relaxation. No worries. Maybe I can make you relax. But Eri asked in a quiet voice, the nails on her right hand pressed against Kurima's throat. Her red rust eyes bore into the smaller woman from above. Oh? Her eyes opened wide. Kurima's stiff cheeks slowly opened into a wide grin. Her childish laughter echoed through the otherwise silent classroom. What I'm doing, you ask? Interesting. That's an odd choice of words from someone threatening a teacher with fingernail blades. I should ask you, Akapane, what are you doing? I wonder if you're prepared for what's coming to you. Even with Aries' nails thrust into her throat, and apparently well aware that they were concealed weapons, Urumia was not perturbed. Rather, she looked up at Eri with a predatory gaze. Facing down her teacher, Eri remained silent. Well then, Urumia continued. Since you tried so hard, I'll give you some options. 1. You obediently remove your hand and then face discipline. 2. You are forced to remove your hand and then face discipline. 3. You kill me now and avoid discipline. Those are all of your choices. You may choose your favorite. Upon hearing the third option, Mary's eyes widened. Biting her lips, she glared at Kurumiya. Still a teacher? You must be joking. There's no way I could get away with something like that. I don't mind. Huh? You could kill me here and now and there would be absolutely no punishment carried out on you. Because of my incompetent supervision, your conduct would be overlooked, don't you think? What is it? There's nothing for you to worry about. It would be impossible for you to kill me without my compliance. If you explain the situation to the institution, I'm sure they'll handle it appropriately. Everyone here is a witness, and therefore don't hesitate. Uruyama tossed aside the iron pipe and raised both of her hands. In a commanding tone that did not mask her submissive posture, she ordered, "Kill me." That instant, Aries' body jumped as though struck by an electric shock. The fingers pressed against Kurima's throat began to visibly tremble and shake. What is this? What are you scared of? If you're going to do it, then get on with it. You just have to pull back your bladed fingers all at once. It would be that easy. If you are the Scarlet Slasher, that is. Grinning broadly, Kurima leaped on word after word as if to torment Eri. Her rust-red eyes were wavering. The sounds of shallow breathing came from her lips, and her face drained of blood. What happened? Akabane. Eri Akabane, did I help you along? Speaking in a sweet, soft voice, Kurima started to take one step forward. Without the slightest hesitation, it looked like she was going to push Eri's nails down into her own throat. What? With a frustrated scream, Eri pulled her hand away and stumbled backward, shaking. As she gathered her senses, she looked at Kurumiya's neck. The marks left by her fingernail blades were thin and shallow. Relief passed over Eri's expression, followed by despair, then finally resignation. She bit her lip and hung her head low. Oh, is that so? So that's your choice, Akabane. Kurima asked quietly, her careless tone and smile long gone. She grabbed Eri's right wrist and pulled the taller girl toward her. A silent scream. Aries' slender body folded in half. Without a moment's delay, Ururima drove her left knee into Aries' lower jaw. Eri! Eri! Yosuke and Mina shouted simultaneously. Her head thrown back, Eri collapsed downward. She went down with a dull crash. Hey, you bastard, shut up and watch. Don't move. Move, I kill you. Kuriyama's low growling voice from Kyosuke and Mina, who had immediately started to rush over and stopped in their tracks. Her right hand once again held the iron pipe as the two students watched through gritted teeth as she jabbed Ari's cheek with the blood-stained end. Ari lying face off ground. It was right for an injured person like Kamiya to go to the infirmary. Oliver looked at her. However, calmly. What reason would you possibly... You're a cute bunny. Thank you. What reason could you possibly have to take it upon yourself to accompany him? He doesn't appear to have such severe injuries that he's unable to walk by himself. In the end, weren't the two of you secretly having some fun together? What are you saying? Ari opened her mouth to voice her objections, and Kuriyama plugged it with the iron pipe. She tried her best to turn her face away, but guided by Kuriyama's skilled hand, tipped suddenly collar and pressed against it. Along with Ari's razored blade, the iron pipe quickly became wet with her. Unable to stay quiet any longer, Kyosuke grabbed Kuriyama's arm, her fun interrupted by the sudden grapple. Kuriyama repeated. Kyosuke, quiet. Ari raised her body up as he was going to say something, but Kyosuke couldn't take his eyes off Kuriyama. And faced with the horrible fiendish man-eating expression written across her face, her charming childlike face, he spoke up in a powerful voice. It was me. I'm the one who asked her to accompany me to the infirmary. Before that, she saved her life. She didn't do one thing to justify receiving punishment. I was the one. I was the one who was in the wrong. If you're going to discipline someone should be me, you stupid rich brat. Oh boy, he's asking for it. Kyosuke had barely finished shouting when Kuriyama's iron pipe struck him right in one gauze-covered cheek. Knocked back, he collapsed to the floor. It was just short of a miracle that all his teeth weren't broken. It was the first time Kyosuke had tasted Kurimiya's pipe, and it was a complete shock. Where did this physical strength come from in those slender arms? Looks like you want to tie after all. Fine by me. Just as you want, and I'll smash you to bits. The next blow caught him in the stomach. It was a good thing he hadn't eaten today. Faster than he could vomit. The gastric juices that came surging up his throat. Yet another swing caught Kyosuke to the side, as he realized that his ribs were probably broken. Again a blow, this time on his thigh. With Kuriyama's rays raining non-stop pain on him, the world was painted red. Kyosuke? Oh, wait, Kyosuke. Don't come over. His consciousness quickly fading. Kyosuke tried to use his last bit of strength to hold Eri back with a pleading look. When his vision blurred, he did not get the chance to see whether Eri had heeded his warning. I was hit by a side swipe just now. I don't know. His body flew up, the side of his head slamming into the wall, his sense of pain long ago overwhelmed. Over and over and over, from above, below, left and right, it was one attack after the other. Kyosuke's world tumbled violently as he was thrown about by the beating. With each blow, his consciousness faded further. A deep crimson abyss rushed up to engulf him. It's over now, Kamiya. Go ahead and die now. Final massive strike smashed into the side of his head. The world began to grow dim in the... Kyosuke! Echoing through the darkness, someone screamed. Kyosuke lost consciousness. A gentle light filtered through the iron bars that covered the window. The infirmary in which Kyosuke found himself regaining consciousness was quiet and still. Staring at the blotchy ceiling, he blinked several times, then slowly and tentatively pushed himself upright. Kyosuke? A thin voice from somewhere next to him, sitting in a folding chair. Eri was looking at Kyosuke with an expression of surprise. gears wavered in her rust-red eyes. Would you be trying to sit up? I mean, are you alright? Yeah, he answered. I'm better than I expected, actually. I'm used to this. My body has always been sturdy, so, you know. Between his head, chest, forelimbs, he hurt in so many places. However, Kyosuke was a fighter, and was more used to constant injury. If it was just the pain, and if there was no permanent damage, it was tolerable. Luckily, it seemed that he had escaped without much more than cuts and bruises, and a few fractured bones. She must have been taking it easy on me. Though imperfect, Miya was still a teacher. No matter how many times she said, "I'll kill you," there was no way she would actually murder a student. Anyway, Eri, are you okay? Things must have been difficult for you after that. Not really. Eri mumbled and averted her eyes. Everything's been normal since you were carried off to the infirmary. Just like after Mohawk was disciplined, nothing really changed. Nothing else happened to me since that incident, thanks to some idiot who protected me. That is. So, well, you see, Eri stumbled over her next words, as though they were difficult to even say, then looked at him with upturned eye. Thank you, Kyosuke. Her voice was soft, gentle even, and the pink flush to her cheeks made Kyosuke's pulse leap. Don't mention it, he stammered, also scrambling to turn his face away. Precisely because she was usually so aloof, he didn't see how it could be a good thing. He didn't see how it could be a good thing that she suddenly started acting this way. Eri seemed to be thinking the same thing, placing both hands on her knees and shutting her mouth up tight. It was a situation that couldn't help but be awkward. Yosuke finally decided to change the subject. But by the way, are classes over? Yeah. Eri nodded, grateful to end the previous conversation. What about Mina and Renko? With you? No, I asked them, and they let me step away from her. Oh, is that so? Hey, when you say you asked, why did you come alone? Because I had something I wanted to say, one-on-one. Mary lifted her gaze to meet his, and in her rust-red eyes, Kyosuke could see a determined resolve. Huh? Something you wanted to tell me? What is it? Went so far as to clear everyone else out. Yosuke's heart was beating fast with the possibilities that crossed his mind. Flustered, he surveyed his surroundings. Here in the infirmary, with its shelves of medicine, beds, medical instruments, he felt no human presence besides the two of them. It looked like even the school nurse was absent. Illuminated by the spring sunlight stemming through the barred windows, Mary put her hands on the edge of the bed. The truth is, Kyosuke, just wait a minute, Eri. I'm not sure if I'm ready for... Ignoring his blushing protests, she leaned her body forward. I've never killed him. Huh? Kyosuke drew a complete blank. It had definitely not been the confession he was expecting. He's never killed anyone? Eri? No way. No way that can be true. I must have misheard her or something. Eri was a professional quote-unquote assassin. Oh. The story that I've killed 6 people is bullshit. I've never even killed one person. I've really tried to, but I couldn't even kill a single one of them. 6 isn't the number of people I've killed. It's the number of people I failed. I failed at the job of assassin. See? Mary's lips twisted around the words, with a smiling grimace of masochistic self-love. Kyosuke took a deep breath as Eri pressed her weaponized nails against his throat. For generations, the Akabane family has been a noted family of assassins, loyally serving our masters. From the time I was very young, I was trained in the art of killing. But it makes you laugh, doesn't it? And missing the most important thing. the nerve to kill. However, I did turn out to have a bit of talent. I was given so many chances. Each time I failed. I worked hard to see that it wouldn't happen again. So even in the end, I couldn't go through with the kill. So in the end, I couldn't go through with the kill. Then on my most recent attempt, when what was supposed to be my 6th kill, I screwed up in a big way. No one saw me. I was arrested. Under the pretext of expelling me from the Akabane clan, they were happy to toss me in here. Removing her nails from Kyosuke's throat, Eri bit her lip, rubbing her bright red nails with the fingers on her opposite hand. She continued. The nickname they gave me was Rusty Nail. It's not because of rusty bloodstains. It's because my nails are rusty from disuse. Rust leaving a body. To a Nakabane, red lust leaving a body is the whole point. To think that defective goods like me were born into such a distinguished line. Eri, Kyosuke couldn't hide his confusion at Eri's frail voice and expression. It must be a lie? She really not have killed anyone? This girl? Certainly when Karima had ordered her to kill me, Eri's reaction had not been what one would expect of a seasoned murderer. She hadn't been shaken by Karima's threats or anything like that. She was simply afraid of the act of killing. You could understand, but... Hey, Kyosuke, help me. How do you kill? Just before you kill someone, the things you think of, about the person, the people who care for that person, the people that person cares for. I mean, you think of them too, right? Don't you? Even if you're only killing one person, once that person dies, so many more people might feel so heartbroken at the death, but the death would be less painful. Probably causing them pain, causing them sadness, causing them to feel bitter and hurt. Those are the kinds of things I think of. Even in the tiniest moment, I think and think and I think and I think and I think and I think. And in the end, you never take their life. I can't finish the kill. Mary's head was bowed deep, and she gripped the sheets of the bed with both hands. The pointed tips of her nails, 6 blades in total, tore at the thin fabric, cutting it to shreds. A drop of transparent liquid landed near her hand. A hint of a sob was barely audible. Even so, on my last job, I managed to strike a vital area. I resolved myself to slit his throat from behind. A ridiculous amount of blood flowed out and his face went pure white. I'd killed him, I thought. The moment I thought that, I blacked out. The rest is as I told you over lunch. I was arrested and my target escaped death. I was abandoned by the Akabane family. Every day and every night became like a living nightmare. The fear I felt trying to kill him, the self-loathing. It's humiliating, but even now I can't sleep. Mary wiped her eyes, her voice full of derision. Her eyes are always half closed because she was sleepy. The rust-red orbs shimmered behind the curtains of tears. Again, she looked at him entreatingly. Hey, Kyosuke, tell me. You've killed 12 people, haven't you? Even a gentle guy like you was able to kill, right? What do I do to become able to kill? Tell me. Please. You're the only one I can ask. Mina never intends to kill people in the first place, and Renko is too mysterious, so I'm asking you, Kyosuke. If you won't, someone who was raised to kill, I don't really have any reason to go on living, don't you see? Kyosuke stared back at her in silence. Eri had flung off the mask of the Scarlet Slasher and dropped the guise of a professional assassin. Her face was that of an ordinary, weak girl. Her aggressive, dismissive attitude was likely also a facade. a reflection of the fear and unease he felt in a world full of murderers. If that was the case, trusting in Erie's clear tear-stroke eyes, he prepared himself for the worst. Kyosuke resolved to expose his own true face as well, tossing aside his mask and showing himself just as he was. Sorry, that's impossible, Abe. I can't teach you something like that. But why not? Why won't you teach me? Because I've never killed a single person. What? Eri put her hands on Kyosuke's shoulder and moved closer, stopping abruptly at his confession. Her mouth hung open in disbelief. It was probably the same the same face that Kyosuke had made earlier. With a bitter smile, he continued. And the story about me killing 12 people, the truth is, that was a false charge. I'm a normal guy who's never even shoplifted, much less killed anyone. I'm just a little more resilient against injury than most people, that's all. I've kept it a secret this whole time, but with you, it must be okay to talk about it. False charge? Normal guy? Just a little more resilient? Her expression moved from astonishment through confusion and then on to disappointment, or possibly relief, and then bewilderment. You must be lying. At least the last thing you said was definitely a lie. I'm not lying, it's all true. I have absolutely no idea how to answer your questions about killing people, but... He took Ari's hands that were resting on his shoulders and glancing at the nails that crowned her fingertips. Gently removed them. I completely understand what it's like to hate the thought of killing. Find it unpleasant. Though... But I also understand your determination in feeling like you have to kill. You're thinking about all kinds of things so you can't kill your target. Of course you are. People who can kill without thinking are insane. Murderers and hitmen, am I wrong? You're wrong. Eri cut him down immediately. With eyes as sharp as swords, he glared at Kyosuke. That kind of reasoning belongs in polite society, doesn't it? Here in the underworld where we're living, being unable to kill isn't insane. It's the exact opposite of the ordinary world in logic, morals, and truth. The worlds that you and I inhabit are too different. And if our words are different, our value systems are. Value systems? We're the same there too, though. You stand out in criminal society, but you're normal and decent society. You're no different from me. I mean, what were you going to do if you were actually rehabilitated here? If you stuck it out for 3 years and you went back into the ordinary world? That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Why would it be? Your family turned their backs on you, didn't they? Even so, they wouldn't just throw someone like you away, would they? When you already know so much? It seems like washing your hands of them would be tough. You're wrong. It's not like that. Even so, there is one reason, but... Turning her face away, Eri hesitated. But Yosuke urged her on. Still not meeting his eye, she continued. Look, you were thrown in here on a false charge, right? The world you came from, that place, do you want to go back? Say that's starting now for the next 3 years. Carry on behaving as the warehouse butcher, and endure this life, even then. The place that you think you want to return to. The place where you belong. Will it still be there for you? Yes, it will be. Kyosuke held the image of his beloved family in his mind, as he felt strength fill his voice in his fist. It wouldn't be broken until he had seen them, that he had seen Ayaka again, until he had apologized to her. He would absolutely not give in. Really? Mary's eyes had clouded over, her voice a soft muffle. Pressing her lips and carving wrinkles into her forehead, she looked extremely indecisive. Yosuke stayed silent and continued to watch her attentively. 10 seconds passed. 20, 30. I get it. If that's the case, I have to tell you. In the brilliance of Aries' open eyes, Yosuke gasped unconsciously. They held a cold, ruthless light. Icy sharp gaze seemed to pierce him through. First, you'll forgive me from starting from the conclusion, but even supposing that you do stick it out for the 3 years, you will never be able to go back to your former world. Huh? No, I'm going back. I mean, this place is to rehabilitate murder. Wrong. Cutting off Kyosuke's word, Eri told him the truth. His hope was a spider's thread that he had clung to in this hellish purgatory. Filled with the clamor of murderers, delivered the truth that would cut the thread and send him tumbling into the bottom of the abyss. Purgatorium Remedial Academy is not a school that rehabilitates murderers. It's a place where they take murderers who already have experience in killing, retrain them, correcting any weaknesses or flaws. It's a vocational school for raising professional killers. And that's the end of chapter 4. It's been a little over 2 hours. So, yeah, I know, right? Plot twist. Okay. We're gonna thank you guys for hanging out with you guys, relax, fall asleep, unwind. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Octopath. You've been doing Nike stuff. Well, I hope I kept you company while probably gonna do my day stream. Anyway, see you guys on Saturday. Sweet dream. Take care.